Welcome to another Linleys Treks and Walks video. Hi, I'm Warren Brand, and in this episode I'll share with you some of my own strategies in how to plan a walking trip. I've been organising trips for groups of friends and my own solo adventures for about 35 years. More about some of those older adventures another time, but today I'll explain my 4-layer tried and tested trip planning strategy. I've added a few notes and further ideas in the description box below. My wife and I have slipped out to our local woodlands to let our family canine member out for a run and to give us a chance to enjoy some improving weather outside.
Boiling? Yes, boiling.
Very much so. I came ready prepared.
Are you all installed?
Mm-hmm.
You're one step ahead.
She's a bit of a distraction.
She is a big distraction, yeah. So we've got 3-4 weeks before?
Yeah, 12th of April.
12th of April.
Which isn't a weekend, it's a Monday or something.
Monday. Be busy straight after that. So where am I going to go? Big district again?
It's nice at Easter.
Everywhere's nice at Easter. Big district.
So the whole country is your oyster, as they say.
Yorkshire Dales.
That's a long trip.
It is a longer trip. I could do 3 nights.
Yeah.
Are there no nerves?
Our dog was getting fidgety, sitting still for too long, so my wife has walked back home, and I'll just enjoy this woodland a little bit more for another short time. Give me a chance of saying hello and saying a few things to you guys out there. As we've just been talking about, there's about a month away before this national lockdown, version 3 I think, is ending. About a month, so it ends on I think the 12th or 13th we can get out. That's not a weekend. It's I think it's a Monday or Tuesday, and I can imagine the whole world will be out on the M6, on the M40 and everywhere else, so I can imagine it being horrendously busy on those days, and in fact probably the rest of that sort of holiday period over the Easter break. It's hard to say. However, I'd like to do some planning and perhaps get some walks at least thought about in principle, so that I can be a little bit flexible. This woodland's lovely. It's just about 20 minutes walk away from home, so very lucky. And in fact it was here that I came a little bit further over when the snow was here. It's nice to be out for an hour or so having a woodland wander, just to get some fresh air and escape for a bit. Ground's a bit boggy. Whoa, watch out. So let's think about what plans I might have for the next couple of months. Well, hopefully, when we're allowed to, I'm going to do a woodland camp with a YouTube buddy. More of that to follow. And that YouTube buddy and I may end up doing a walk and perhaps an overnight stop in the Maldives as well, whenever we feel we can get away. So that's a couple of lines on the list. I fully anticipate getting up to the Peak District again. That is not a local spot for me, but certainly a go-to location. Peak District, Yorkshire Dales. Of course, I was in the lakes just before Christmas for the my Keswick railway walk that I had long been anticipating doing, and really lucky to have done that just before Christmas between the two lockdowns. Hope you've seen that video, Keswick to Threlkeld Railway. Lovely, lovely line, old line. And of course the slightly more local South Wales, a couple of hours, 2.5 hours in the car down the M4 over the bridge. That's an option as well. Haven't been there very much recently. Did one trip, one weekend trip, 2020. During a conversation with one of my mates that I don't generally go walking with particularly, he asked me, how do you plan a walk? How do you plan your routes? How do you know where to go, what to do, what gear to take? And I started explaining to him kind of some of my outline strategies in some of the planning I do. And I thought, well, why not explain it a little bit more? It's a bit boggy here. Oh dear, oh dear. People are in on their bikes as well. So I thought it'd be about time that I perhaps shared some of the strategies that I follow in some of my planning and working out what I do, where I go, how I do it, who I do it with. So if you have the time, stick with me a few more minutes and grab some of the ideas and concepts that I'd like to share with you. I like getting out into the hills, in the forests and woods, following trails. And since I've been running my YouTube channel, I found it very, very satisfying just recording, editing and sharing some of the videos that I make. I've formed quite a nice collection of little videos from the last year or so. And it's fun just to go back sometimes when you have a spare minute and look back at them. So if you're new to my channel, please do subscribe. Please do look back at some of my previous catalogue. There's a bit of a mix and blend. Many of them focus on hilltop, mountaintop walks, overnight camps, wild camps on top of hills, but I've included a few other bits and pieces as well. But as you'll see, if you look, I've included some low-level camps, even camps during lockdown in my garden, in my tree house, etc. My subscriber count is increasing slowly, and really thank you very, very much if you subscribe to my channel. And if you haven't yet, maybe you would consider doing so, having watched my video today. Look at some of the other ones on my channel as well. My channel's now got something like 225 subscribers, which for me that's a real achievement, because before Christmas it was just below 100. And perhaps if I'm lucky I can even achieve something like 250, 275 subscribers on my channel by the summer or soon after. That would be very, very nice. So thinking about the conversation I had with my mate just the other day about the sort of style of planning, the detail of planning that I try and do for my walks and trips. I don't have any kind of formal strategy in the way I plan my trips. I don't have a particular checklist for all of my trips. I run the odd list for some of the gear, but each one's different anyway, so I don't follow a standardized plan at all. Some of my trips include wild camps on top of mountains. Sometimes they're in valleys and woodlands. In the past, clearly not during the lockdown period, during this virus pandemic problem, but I'm a member of the Youth Hostel Association, and for 20 odd years I've been using youth hostels up and down the country. Usually not on my own, usually with a couple of mates, different mates, and in the past I used to organise large trips with a bunch of staff that I used to work with. We used to borrow a minibus and escape to the Brecons for weekends on a Friday night. So if I had to really work on a strategy on how I plan my trips, I guess there's a 4-level approach to my planning. Level 1, strategy level 1, is kind of that concept, that overall overarching plan of, yeah, I'm going to go for a walk, going to go for a trip. I've got some days that I can escape, either over a long weekend or a few days off work. So having agreed the dates, I'll work out whether I'm going by myself, whether I'm going with some mates, a mate, if I'm going to camp, or whether I'm going to book a bunk in a youth hostel. So that's the kind of strategy level 1, the concept. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? What days have I got? How long is it going to be for? Who am I going to go with? Basic opportunity realisation. And of course at that point it's a case of making sure I've got my card stamped with my wife at home and it fits in with family arrangements, and I can do bookings with the youth hostel, they got space, etc. So sometimes in the past they're keen to get away, really keen to go to a particular location and find that the youth hostel is fully booked or not open or something. That can be frustrating. It happens. The next layer of planning, I guess you could say, is called the itinerary. So say it's a 2 or 3 a night trip. I'll work out the basic timings and work out what opportunities I have for parking, camping, route walks, peaks, bookings, that sort of thing. So I'll work out a really fairly detailed itinerary, detailed in that it's like morning, afternoon, location, that sort of thing. So I've got a clear strategy for what I aspire to do, what I plan to do on the days that I'm away. So that comes down to itinerary. And within that, I'll begin getting the maps out and work on which peaks, which start points, the car parking, outline, route planning, distances. I'll measure some distances, work out height gain, loss, any key objectives en route, to give me a good idea of kind of the structure of each of the days. And of course at that point, if I'm going with somebody or I'm leading the trip or somebody else is leading the trip, work with them on some of those details. So it's a collaboration rather than me just doing all of it. I can spend some time, and that's part of the fun really, working out some of those details, agreeing different strategies, what works, what doesn't. Moving on to sort of the third layer in this planning arrangement, I really look at the detail of each of the day's walks. This really does drill down and look at the detail route, and I'll spend probably hours looking at a new route to be really sure that I've got a good understanding of the terrain, the field of views, the orientation, the navigational opportunities, things like that. As part of that detailed planning for the route, I'll look at different peaks. How many peaks can I do? Usually look for trig points on maps as well, tick off a trig point. I'll look for escape routes, If the day's not working out as good or as well as I was hoping, or there's an injury, I need to include some sort of escape route. So I'll do that as part of that detailed planning. I'll be very sure at that point that I know the distances, the height gain, so that I'm really sure that I know that I can start the walk in time, allowing for driving from a campsite, that I know when I'm going to start the walk in the morning. I know how long the walk is going to take during the day, photo opportunity spots, things on the horizons to look out for, navigational arrangements as well, whether I'm going to rely on the map, use GPS, usually a combination of that, what the risks of the route are, where there might be some pitfalls or obstacles that might cause some difficulties, and what specifically to look out for navigational benefits. If I'm doing an overnight wild camp, I need to be sure that I've got a target in mind for where that pitch site will be, and usually I've done a bit of looking on Google Earth just to get a satellite view, and I can see where there's clear space, flat space, grass or heather. Google Earth is very good for giving that extra bit of information. Layer 4 is really the packing list. I'm not suggesting I do this like last, perhaps I might even start this earlier on, especially if the trip might be slightly different to what I've done before. So it's not the fourth thing to do, it's just kind of the fourth layer of planning. And it's that gear check, making sure that I've got the gear that I need for the trip. Perhaps I might need to replace something, I might need to buy something new. So this is not done a day before, 2 days before, this might still be 3 or 4 weeks before. And usually I'll go back to one of the lists. I do have lists for these, just so that I've got sure that I've got everything. And more recently, of course, a whole camera setup. I've got a GoPro 8 that I'm using at the moment, a whole camera setup and all of that electronic gear, which for 20, 30 years I've not needed to worry about, but somehow it's become very important so that I can record and then edit and share my videos. Well, I'm getting cold sitting here, so I think it's about time I got up and explored a little bit more of this woodland, and then headed back home. Got a bit cold sitting, talking to you just then for those few minutes. Time to get a bit of a pace on and walk out of this woodland, I think, and get back home. I think my wife will be wondering where I've got to. Recording for YouTube does seem to take a lot of time. All good fun though, all good fun. And hopefully fun for not just me. Hopefully YouTube out there, you enjoy the content that I put out, and please, if you have enjoyed any of the content, either this video or any of the other videos that you might have seen, please do give any of them a thumbs up. It all does help the channel, gives me a bit of a pat on the back, and you know, it's nice to get a pat on the back sometimes, isn't it? If you can run to adding to your subscribers list, I don't think there's any limit to the number of people you can subscribe to. Please do consider subscribing to my channel. If you have a channel, run any content, you'll be watching your subscriber count go up. Sometimes the number pops up one in the morning, I see, and you know, feel a bit chuffed about that. Somebody says, yeah, somebody likes your content, that's really good, and has the confidence in tagging along and following you. So again, thank you if you have subscribed already. Since last summer, I have managed to do an every other week upload of treks and walks video. Just about managed to do that. During lockdown, it has been very difficult to get out, produce content that's worth sharing. We'll all look forward to other opportunities coming up over the next few months, and I think so many people will be counting down the days over the next few weeks in readiness, preparation for getting out again later in April. April 2021 will be a significant unlocking day, whatever day they finally agree for us. So we're back to this large cut through path. I'm going to head up this way. Well, we've come to the end of this video. Just leaves me to say thanks for watching and bye for now. So pretty well have come to the end of this video. Just leaves me to say something.